moron!
Hey, moron!
Dude! Look at me! I'm the waterboard, dude!
Well, good morning, friends. And I guess I should say haters as well. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, being part of, and I guess hating the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Don't have Jobu here. He's holding down the fort at the Red Brick House, but we got Joe Bear up there. What's up, Joe Bear? It is comical to me as we get ready to go open for business and wake up the football gods. First of all, don't forget about BetUS, because with BetUS, even though football season's over, you can start making your bets for next year. Use that promo code YouTube150 so that way you can get that 150% matching. If you use crypto, you get 200% matching, up to $2,000 in your first 3 deposits. They've got casino games, they got baseball, basketball, you name it. Just bet responsibly with BetUS. So as we go through right now, and we've got the combine, and today on tap, we have wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks. And this is, I think, a very important day for the Cowboys. Now, we know that the top players, of course, don't do the workouts and things. They'll do the interviews and stuff, but they'll really hold out for their pro days where they're more comfortable being on their own fields and things in a controlled environment as opposed to the combine. The other thing I always say about the combine is it's like the SATs. When you take the SATs test, you end up basically doing the prep test. You study for the test. And so you'll see some players that will all of a sudden excel beyond expectations at the combine. They're a little bit quicker than you think they are because they've worked on their stance, their running form, and everything else that may not necessarily translate into them being a great player. And you'll see players that are workout warriors that all of a sudden they'll say, oh my God, he looks so good. And then when he gets on the field, doesn't come through. And see, this is where it's important to make sure you've done your due diligence, that you're just not relying on a workout at the combine, that you have worked on, seeing this guy in all of his years in college. You've talked to his coaches. You've looked at all the game tape, that this is just a tool, a part of this, not the totality of figuring out these players. Now, I've got a lot of things that are going on. We may go ahead and start live streaming this today, 1 o'clock, if I can get back in time. So I'm trying to get through this, get business taken care of, get back and see what we can do to bring you some of the content here today. I have been missing in action, and I apologize for that, but family comes first. So a couple of things to me. Everybody is cynical. I've said the Cowboys have made some changes. It's clear the Cowboys have made some changes. Now, change could be good, and you can believe in it. Sometimes things change for the worse. We don't know how the change that the Cowboys have done is going to be. What I've recognized, because while I was riding around and listening to Game Time Brian, I'm not on his stream. And I realize how much venom and hate and blame I get. I've got no control over what Jerry Jones or Stephen Jones or Dak Prescott do. I only give people my opinion. Believe me, I wish I had some influence over what Jerry and Stephen Jones do. Because, I said, go out and get Demario Davis as a free agent, a guy who has not missed a single game since he left the Jets, and has been the heart and soul of the defense. A linebacker like we could have used. I kind of said, go get my man Calais Campbell after he was a free agent with the Cardinals. And you've seen what his career has been right there. So I've got no control and no say on the Cowboys. And for those out there that just say our quarterback sucks, you know what? I will die on the hill saying that it is not all Dak Prescott's fault. And I don't give a rat's ass about anybody else saying that I'm wrong. I'm fine. You're free to think what you think. But until this team does right by us, the fans, and doing everything they can to win. I can't put blame on the quarterback. You know, I've seen Josh Allen and people say he's a great quarterback. He ain't been to the Super Bowl and won one. Has he? And Jalen Hurts didn't win one until they built a massive team around him and continue to try and build a team that gets better. You cannot honestly sit here and say where we were last year this time with our head coach, our new defensive coordinators back home in Dallas, working on the game plan, while Jerry and Stephen Jones are up here in Indianapolis with Jerry and his stopwatch and his tape measure, measuring how long the guy's slongs are for the players to bring in here, that it's Dak Prescott's fault that we're not winning Super Bowls. Not when you let go 9 starters. 9 starters. Not trading 9 starters to bring in a Myles Garrett or something like that. Just letting him go. And not bringing anybody in to replace him. Sorry. You can hate me all you want. I don't, if you're not open, and I know I'm not going to convince anybody out there to change their mind on Dak Prescott. Unfortunately, the Cowboys have a history of wasting talent and great players. Zach Martin retiring right now without a ring. Jason Witten, DeMarcus Ware, well, at least he went and got one elsewhere. That the team relies on being top heavy with a couple of guys. We got our core group of guys, and they're going to win us a Super Bowl. Well, that wasn't the philosophy that worked in the 90s. We didn't just have Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman. We didn't. We had Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Great Wall of Dallas, and a lights-out defense. And we are not anywhere near those teams. We're not. Not even close. Not even the same neighborhood. Not even the same ballpark. So until the Cowboys do right by us, the fans, and really go in and try and do this, then it's not going to change. And the Cowboys are okay with that, or at least they had been, because they got more money than they shake a stick at. But at some point, I wonder, I'll never have this problem because, I just don't live just for money, to make the almighty dollar every single day. I try to enjoy the balance of my family, my friends, and enjoying myself and paying my bills. But some people get so obsessed with making money. I don't know, how much more money does Jerry and Stephen Jones need? What is it out there that they need more money for? I don't see what it is. I would say a Super Bowl to me seemingly would be more valuable than a couple more $1 billion to them. If they get a couple more $1 billion, what is it they're going to do differently? What are they going to get? Now they got that extra money. Now they can go ahead and buy that new car. It's not that. That's not the case. To me, it would seem to be wanting that Super Bowl, and that's what it should be about. The craziest thing is, I realize some of the ideas and things that I had seen or thought, preconceived notions, were actually wrong. Because I remember when the Eagles went through and they locked down everybody, and what they did was they made the front end really, really cheap and kicked the money down the road. And we all looked at that and said, Stephen Jones said, we don't believe that this is the right way to do business. That, at some point you're going to be in cap hell. That would seem to be the case, but it's actually not. It's actually really smart, and I hate to give the Eagles credit, because with the exception of COVID, the salary cap has just been shooting up and will continue to do so, understanding that we're headed for an 18-game season, which will be 2 more weeks of revenue for the NFL. The NFL, whether you like it or not, is going to be international. We're adding games every year in different locations. We're going to Australia, Brazil, Germany, England, Mexico. Some more revenue. Gambling. Although the Texas Lottery and the Cowboys partnership, they got a little problem with that situation. But everywhere else, more and more states are opening, being able to use your cell phone to gamble. All the apps. More revenue. Salary cap ain't going down. Salary cap is not going down. And as long as you continue to go up, it's the smartest thing in the world is actually to put it down the road. They're not paying interest like we do on credit cards. When you sign a guy right now, let's say salary cap's going to be $270 some plus $million. To keep this simple, we'll say you sign a guy for $27 million because that's 10% of the cap, right? That's a big chunk of it. Well, let's say that the salary cap continues to go up $25 million a year. And you sign the guy for 4 years. And you kick the majority of the money down to the end. Well, that means the salary cap is somewhere around $370 million. Right? And so that 10% hit that we're talking about now, down the road, is probably like 6%. You'll have more money to work with. And you'll have voidable years where you can stretch it out even further. And so that's the way of playing the game. The thing is, if you put all the money here now, you're paying for it at this rate. And so when we talk about kicking the can down the road, it's actually wiser. You can better absorb it. The Eagles have perfected that. And that's why they're able to go ahead and get all these players to talk about the idea of bringing in Myles Garrett. They have found the new secret sauce. The Cowboys, well, we signed Dak, and we've got $89 million hit. We're paying for that now in today's dollars as opposed to kicking it down and paying for it in tomorrow's dollars. So it's more expensive now than it would be later. That's the game that we got to understand. Now, the Cowboys, in my mind, I have said they've changed. They say Jerry Jones canceled the bus tour, something he's done every single year of getting the reporters and doing Jerry speak, letting you know that he's the one in charge and, this is his team and everything else. And, everybody else, they're here. They're part of the organization, but it's really all about me. And that has been the same way we have done business. To be clear, Stephen Jones is now in charge of day-to-day operations. And that means instead of him, I don't know that Stephen Jones is going to be out there with the tape measure measuring people's slongs. It sounds like Stephen Jones is putting people in positions to succeed or fail. That Will McClay is taking on a bigger role. That the coaches, with last year, the coaching staff being in Dallas while the organization decided who we're going to draft, have the coaches with the scouts evaluating the players together to figure out the best players to fit what we're doing. That is a sea change. That's a sea change. For Stephen Jones to actually say Brian Schottenheimer put together this coaching staff, and to see that this isn't just Brian Schottenheimer getting his childhood playmate hired on a job, that he has gone around to try and make the best decisions on coaches. Because one of the things that worked for the Dallas Cowboys were that they brought in players that they were able to coach to what they needed. They coached them up. They didn't just rely on what they were when they got there. And they continued the flow of players till they found the best players they could. Now, I don't know how far this change is going to go. If this is, in fact, really change we can believe in, I'm sure they're going to make plenty of mistakes. Some people thinking that, it's sounding like Osa Ndigizula's contract is going to be about $22 million. People look and say that that's too much money. I'm going to ask, how much is the guaranteed money and how are the hits spread out? Is it low early so we have room to bring other people? Because the bottom line is this. As long as we end up doing what we've been doing, which is we got Dak and we got CD, so we're going to use CD as a running back because we don't want to bring in a running back. And we're going to throw the ball constantly to CD. And we're going to have Dak Prescott throwing the ball 65% of the time. We're going to have an offensive line that's in flux, and you're right. Dak sucks. Dak sucks. He's not good enough to win the Super Bowl if that's your philosophy. And for those out there that say, well, Jalen Hurts is so great, understand what they did was he's not throwing 300 yards plus a game. He's not having to throw 40 times a game. If they need him to, yeah, but they're balanced. The amazing thing about probably one of the best seasons that we had, which was the 2014 season with Tony Romo. In that season, Tony Romo only had 2 games, his best year of his career, 2 games that he threw for 300 yards. Troy Aikman, in his whole career, only had 1 season that he threw more than 20 touchdown passes. It's not about just launching the ball every single time. It's great for fantasy football. Chicks dig the deep ball, but it's not how you win. Buffalo found out they're a better team when they're balanced and run the football more than having Josh Allen constantly throwing the ball and throwing picks. He becomes more effective. It's not rocket science. So those are the things we got going on. Now, if it's true that Jerry Jones is there in Indianapolis and he didn't have his bus tour because he got his pen and sharpened it up, and instead of saying deadlines make deals get done, that they're actually working on contracts to get Osa Ndigizula back, to get Jordan Lewis back, to get Rico Dowdle back, and Israel, I can't pronounce his name. I got killed in comments last night because, forgive me, I know I have dyslexia. I suck and butcher up names, but you guys know I'm talking about our D-back, Israel Magana-Hugh, okay? That's what I do. I butcher up names. If it bothers you, by all means, you don't have to watch me. But if they are, in fact, looking and doing those things here, 9 days before legal tampering, that's groundbreaking for the Dallas Cowboys. They don't do those kinds of things. And that's why you kind of look and say, maybe they have changed. Don't get your foot off the pedal of giving them shit, because I think that's why we've gotten here. Because last year, this time, we were still pissed off about losing to Green Bay, and instead of figuring out how we can make that team better, we put the coach in the doghouse and basically said, I don't want to see you, don't come anywhere near Indianapolis. And that did absolutely positively nothing to help this organization get better. And going through with free agency and letting all your players walk and doing absolutely nothing to try and make up those guys, it destroyed our season. At the same time, you look at what the Rams have done. They got themselves a team-friendly deal to keep Matthew Stafford in. And still, with Matthew Stafford, I think they're a better team they would be with Aaron Rodgers. That whole dynamic has basically reshuffled everything out there as far as teams looking for quarterbacks. This draft, not necessarily great with quarterbacks, at least on paper. But that's not to say that guys that you don't think much of, like a Brock Purdy, like a Dak Prescott, might end up being really good quarterbacks, and nobody knows. But the Eagles, they are proactive. They are trying to go ahead and continue to get better. They're working on trying to figure out how to get Myles Garrett. It's kind of crazy.
Myles Garrett digging in, typically a fear reserved for opposing quarterbacks. Now that fear shared by his own front office. The star end has no interest in a contract extension, and this stance comes weeks after Garrett publicly announced his desire to leave Cleveland. Now, should be noted, Browns GM Andrew Berry reiterated this week that he does not intend to trade the six-time Pro Bowler, who still has a couple years left on his current deal.
Brown.
Ocho, the Eagles are reportedly a real threat to go after Myles Garrett. They expect Josh Sweat to move on. Josh Sweat is not the only one that's be moving on. I think it's Michael Williams, the other D tackle. He gonna be gone too.
So they're gonna miss some pieces.
Hey, listen. I saw the reports today. The Browns are willing to negotiate with Myles Garrett.
I don't want that.
Extension.
Guess what? My new team gonna negotiate too.
Hey, and he said no. He said no, and I'm sure they're probably going to stand firm unless they get an offer that they can't refuse. And I think that's what the Eagles will have to do in order to get Myles Garrett over there. Listen, with Howie, and
I don't put a past him.
And I don't put nothing past him. Based on the way things have been going, you miss a few pieces, but you add someone like Myles Garrett to that defense, man. And
you know the Commanders.
You already got Jalen Carter.
Commanders going to be in play too.
Man,
Myles Garrett is unwilling to negotiate a contract extension with the organization, as his agents have apparently slammed the door shut on any discussions, per Mary Kay Cabot.
Yeah.
Listen, when Mary Kay Cabot speaks about the Browns, listen, when Diana Rossini, when she speaks about the Jets, when Jane Slater speaks about the Cowboys, I hope you listening.
Yeah.
I hope you're listening. When those women speak about an issue about said teams, they're plugged in.
Yeah.
I'm talking about plugged in like a hot comb. You know what I'm saying, Ocho?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Plugged in.
Most definitely.
Garrett remains firm. He no longer wants to be in Cleveland. Look, 29-year-old defensive player of the year, 29-year-old guys that have 4 consecutive 14 sack seasons. Those guys don't grow on trees. And let me ask you this.
Micah Parsons?
Do you think there's a guy in the draft that can give you that kind of production over the next 5 years? Okay, so it doesn't matter where you are. I trade him. Now, if I'm a defense, if I need something to shore up my defense, Billy said we good offensively. We can get better defensively. And if that means, we trade a couple of first-round draft picks, you're probably going to have to throw in a talent, a young player, Ocho. You're probably going to have to do that. The Commanders, you're probably going to have to do that. But at that point in time, look, I don't care nothing about them picks, because I believe, Ocho, we're going to be picking 30th, 31st, or 32nd anyway, because we're going to be in the championship game or the Super Bowl. That's what I believe. I know for certain I'm not getting a Myles Garrett with the 30th, the 31st, or the 32nd pick. Now, I could, but the likelihood isn't that good. Normally, those guys, your Derek Thomases, your Bruce Smith, and so forth and so on like that, those guys, every once in a while, you'll find a Johnny Randall that was an undrafted free agent.
Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't happen often.
Right.
You'll find a diamond in the rough. You'll find a Terrell Davis or Shannon Sharp or Tom Brady in the later rounds. But listen, don't you stake your career on trying to find diamonds in the rough.
Oh, no. That ain't going to work.
You go belly up. You go belly up.
That's true.
Look, it all depends on Cleveland. What's your asking price? We know this, Ocho. It's going to take 2 ones. Now, if it's this draft, you're going to have to pick swap. So you have to, you're going to have to give up your pick because they're keeping theirs. You have to give up this first year pick and next year's first round pick, probably a second and a fourth.
Right.
Or second and a third, and probably a player. Philly like, we ain't got no problem. Philly say, look, we picking 32nd. Guess what? We hope to be picking 32nd next year. And Y'all can have it. Y'all can have them picks.
Yep, most definitely. Long as we getting the results.
Long as we get Myles Garrett.
That's
What's Jalen Hurts in year 6? You got Devontae in year 5. You got AJ. Man, bro, I'm not worried about that. We gonna be good.
Yeah.
I'm not even concerned about those draft picks. Knowing where we are, what we have, who we are, take them. Take them. You can't have Jalen Carter. You can't have Quinyon Michael. You can't have him. Mitchell. Excuse me.
Yeah, Kenyon Mitchell.
You can't have him. Everything else, Ocho, is in play.
Is on the table, huh?
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
For Myles Garrett,
Yeah.
you just said put Myles Garrett with Jalen Carter.
And Jordan Davis. Boy.
Man,
Slap me and call me silly.
And you got
That's a scary thought.
Nolan Smith Jr.
Yeah.
Young fella only 230, but he
He can go
I
now.
know. Hey, babe. What? We here? Hey, I saw him dropping offensive linemen at 230. He hitting 330 guys, 330. I know they talking about it felt like trees falling on the head. Ocho, I'm talking about
that's a scary thought, y'all.
Real. I'm talking about he putting his helmet under they chin. I'm buckling him at 230. So but Myles, for an opportunity to get Myles Garrett, guys like this, Ocho, don't become available.
They don't
at the age of 29. Normally they have issues, off the field issues. They're coming off multiple injuries. He's uninjured. He's clean off the field.
Yeah.
That's a scary proposition. So we'll see what the Eagles do here. And you got to understand the Eagles are playing chess and we're playing checkers. So we'll see. Maybe the Cowboys, this is the new improved version of them, and that they're actually really trying to get their shit together. Alrighty, good people, as always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and we'll see if we're back in time for the Combine at 1. Peace out.